today is a nice day to, well, one sec. I'm not gonna drink this, that looked disgusting. Yeah, to answer your question, so first question comes in as what is my favorite camera or cameras of all time? Now going back a couple years, and I've got videos on the channel using it, the Nikon D700 is probably still my favorite camera of all time. Be it, it's still 12 megapixels, came out in 2007, but for what it is, the beast that it was, the low light monster, and it still ranks up there in my opinion, the D700 is one of the best cameras I think ever made. Now be it, it's built like a tank, it's still amazing. But more recently, and I've talked about it more recently as well, and essentially picking it up as, you know, owning one, is the Fuji X Pro 2. I really can't put down that camera because of what it offers and what it does. So the Nikon D700 and right now the Fuji X Pro 2 is ranking really up there. What's the point of bridge cameras? Now personally, I don't get into bridge cameras because I feel like I don't need them. And it's not necessarily a, you know, amateur versus pro type of thing. A lot of these bridge cameras are all-in-ones. Now the pricing on some of these, and especially recently with the Sony RX10 Mark IV, is a little crazy to an extent because you can't switch lenses and you're kind of restricted into a lot of things. But a lot of them are semi-DSLR-like. Obviously, they're bridge cameras, they're a mix of things. So, but there are pros and cons to all of them. To me, it's to someone who really either just wants an all-in-one, on-the-go type of camera. Maybe if you're traveling or something like that and you don't want interchangeable lenses, that's a good option for something like that. So there's a point of it. It's a small niche in my opinion, but personally, and you know, another one was like, why don't I use or talk about more bridge cameras? And I talk about them a lot, especially when they come up and preview them and everything, but I just don't use them in what I do. I don't need them, but there is a market for them, and it's for the all-in-one, portable, and it could even be for, obviously, the pro who just wants something quick and easy out of the bag. Should Fuji go full frame? God, I've talked about this a ton, and I wish Fuji would go full frame. Now, is the GFX enough? No, I personally have zero interest in the GFX, and there's a couple other people on here that just really kind of just push it without really using it or anything like that. But the GFX, interesting camera. They really hurt the medium format market for what they did and the price point and everything like that. Fuji did a good job. I don't need it. I don't care about it as much. But I really like full frame. I don't get into the whole crop sensor versus full frame, which one's better and all that garbage. But I really like what full frame offers. You get what you get. It is what it is. There's no crop, there's no BS in it. But I wish. But do I find Fuji doing that anytime soon? Absolutely not. Maybe 2019, 2020 they'll look into it. But everything that they have is more higher tier, higher end crop sensor. And that's why I own the Fuji X Pro 2, because I like what it offers, especially for street photography. But I do wish it was full frame. How about, let me know down below, do you think that Fuji should go full frame, or should you just look elsewhere for stuff like that? The Canon 60 Mark II, do I still own it? Do I use it? Not to disappoint you, I know who asked this. It's filming me right now, so I still own it and I still like it. I've had no issues with it. It's a very good camera. I was very honest in my review with it, and the hate on this died down a lot because there was enough BS pushed online without people actually using the damn thing. But the Canon 60 Mark II is a good camera. Is it up to 2017 standards? No, of course not. But for what it is, if you want the full frame 80D version, this is it. So I still like it. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. One of the last questions I got is rather interesting as well, is what is next for Canon, for Nikon, and for Sony? This isn't really an easy question because some of the cameras this year really kind of set a precedent for what's going to go on, or what's not going to go on. For Canon, I definitely think the Canon 90D is going to come out, and they have to put some sort of 4K to, you know, get all these people to finally just be like, oh, Canon does 4K. Now, once again, this has been an argument point about the Canon 5D Mark IV with having the motion JPEG 4K, which is honestly garbage. You don't want that. It's not because the file sizes are that good. It's just not good. But they really need to have, you know, dual SD card slots, 4K become more standard before people really get pissed off at you, Canon. So, Canon, wake the hell up. It's not, come on, this isn't rocket science. It's cameras, you have them, make a dual thing. Nikon's going to be very interesting, and I really don't know. The D850 was a big announcement for the year, and that's why it's probably going to be camera of the year, if not, you know, right next to the Sony A7R Mark III. I don't know what's next for them. Obviously, the push is for mirrorless. Same thing for Canon is to push for mirrorless by 2018, 2019. So maybe something like that. I still, once again, if Nikon doesn't use the same F-mount, they're going to fail with that because people need to use their lenses without some stupid converter. But maybe a D750 upgrade. It's been about 2 years now, 2-3 years, whatever, since the D750 came out. So I guess that can use an upgrade. But once again, is that the D850? I don't think it is. It's a weird time for Nikon, so I can't be sure. But the biggest down, biggest down for their 100th anniversary was the D7500. A lot of people didn't like that camera, even though it's pretty good for what it is. Once you get hands-on, it is a little bit let down in some regards for what it is. So Nikon, I don't know. Sony, one other big thing I see that they're going to do is obviously update the RX100 line. Probably the RX100 Mark VI will come out. And I think this is what you're going to get when you get the 4K 60 frames per second that a lot of people are literally dying and keyboard worrying for, is to get that, because Panasonic has that out in the market and everything, especially with their GH5 and now the G9 that's coming out at the beginning of 2018. So I feel like Sony's going to start using 4K 60 frames per second, a lot of their stuff. And the two next cameras logically are the Sony a7 III and a7S III and whatever they're going to be with that. But recently also there was a 100 megapixel and 150 megapixel sensors that were patented and registered and everything by Sony. So we might be seeing something that high end as well. That's what I see for Sony, Nikon, Canon coming up. Everything else is kind of too new. Fuji, they just had the XE3 recently, so I don't know what they're going to do with something like that. But I want to know your thoughts down below. What's next for any of these companies? Be it good or bad, let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts to any of these as well. I answered your questions.